Welcome into the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. Jimmie Allen and Casey Matthews with you here after Creighton's 76-64 victory over Colorado State. Casey, you weren't here for the Iowa State game. You were in Portugal having more fun than anybody else probably should have been having. You didn't get to see the first scrimmage live, but tonight, I think I have more questions about this team tonight than I did following that Iowa State victory. It kind of just seemed like a sleepy Saturday for the Jays. I mean, obviously a 12-point impressive victory, but not as explosive of a performance as we saw against Cyclones.
Just because of just didn't feel like the energy or what?
Yeah, and listen, maybe it had to do with the crowd. So there was a ton of Iowa State red in the crowd, and it kind of felt like an us versus them type of mentality. I think I counted 2 green shirts in the entire building tonight, Colorado State not traveling as well, and that may have had a little bit to do with it. And it just felt like the team had a little bit more juice. And granted, listen, it was a Friday night, almost a sold-out crowd. You had a lot of opposing fans in the building and a lot more to play for, obviously, in a top 25 matchup. Just didn't really feel like the energy was there from this team, and just not as explosive an offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, look, as a basketball guy, and just we have a little bit of history in Colorado State. I was intrigued by the matchup, but I could see that. I mean, look, the name Iowa State, it's going to carry more weight than Colorado State. That's just going to happen. So I can certainly understand maybe a little less juice and a little less pop in the building. I think the other side of it too is like I'm just assuming a lot of expectations tonight, having Owen in the lineup and having Jackson back in the lineup, and so that's probably a little underwhelming for fans tonight to kind of see some of that too. But I don't know. I remember being on the sideline for these games and walking out, and we would talk we'd always talk in locker room like, how many people do you think are going to be here tonight? And
for an exhibition, you mean?
We would take our guesses,
sure.
Even early regular season games. And, you can't really judge too much off of this.
Sure.
Because I would assume on the 5th, this place would be pretty packed.
Even though the opponent is who it is?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
okay.
not when I say packed, I mean,
I was like, I don't know about packed.
I think the lower bowl will be filled. I just a lot more so than tonight. I hope it is.
Well, this is your first look at this team live, this iteration of the Creighton Blue Jays. Takeaways?
Yeah, let me watch it again. Probably to have really insightful takeaways.
I wish we were doing a live podcast right now where I asked this question.
Insightful might be stretching it. No, I mean, look, this was difficult because of what I just talked about with Owen and with Jackson.
And it's also the fact that the minutes the guys got tonight are not the minutes they're going to see in the season. Like Jason Green's going to see more than 17 minutes a game. Josh Dix is going to see more than 19 minutes a game. So it's really because I know I talked about this at the halftime with Josh Dix, slow start in the first game and just 2 of 4 tonight. Like for shooters in a building for the first or second time with a live crowd, it's got to be so difficult to get in rhythm and get your actual moment, your shot, your line, your sight line, where you feel comfortable, how you feel comfortable handling the ball in a non-rhythm game where you're going to be taking in, putting out more times than you're going to in a real game.
That's fair. I mean, I think the other side of that too is remember now, Josh is still figuring out, and the staff is still figuring out his role.
Sure.
He's coming from a team where he needed to be the guy and really score it at a high level for them to be able to be competitive. To now, he doesn't necessarily have to be that. You look on that roster, and there's a lot of guys that can play minutes, and so I still think he's sort of figuring it out. This offense is a very different offense than Fran runs.
Ran.
Ran. Sorry, and I think there's something to be said for that. But also, it's like, look, it doesn't practices, and certainly you're working on things and you're figuring some things out, but there's nothing quite like playing a team who's really game planning for you, who's putting in actions to try to take advantage. Like you saw in the second half. Second half. They went at him 3 straight possessions and scored. They saw something and they were attacking it, and you just don't really get those kind of looks in practice like that. So I'm not worried about him at all. I'll tell you what, I'm really encouraged by Nick Graves. I saw more from him tonight than I was expecting, and
he was impressive at Charlotte. And granted, again, this is exhibition games. He's maybe not playing the cream of the crop in the D. And listen, Iowa State played their ones the majority of the game. But I think that is the guy I've been the most impressed. And not that I didn't have high expectations or I didn't expect him to be a major contributor. I just thought he was a different type of player. And I think he was at Charlotte. And I think a lot of the reason he may have come to Creighton is because he wanted to showcase some things that he may not have been able to do in Charlotte that he's absolutely putting on display. I mean, he led the Jays tonight with 15 points. He goes 4 of 8 from the field, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc, and 4 of 4 from the free throw line. He had 2 big-time assists. Didn't get into any kind of foul trouble at all. I was highly impressed. 22 minutes also, by the way, most minutes on the court.
Yeah, the three-point shootings were really impressive, but not even just his percentage, but the way they looked and off the dribble. He hit one of them that looked really clean. Like, he's shooting it with a lot more confidence than I anticipated. And so, look, I still hold true to what I've said today. Right? I do believe that for this team to reach the level that we want them to reach, Nick Graves needs to be, not necessarily pass first, but he needs to be thinking about playmaking for other people. That's the great.
I'll take that to the next level. I think he's just got to be super selective in the shots that he's taking for himself. Now, I feel a little less adamant about that after the last 2 games that I've seen him, because there were so much of the highlights in the film that we've seen on him from Charlotte was the offense setting screens for him and needing to create offense for him.
Sure. That
has not been the case through 2 scrimmages. He's kind of done that for himself.
Yeah, and he's looked good doing it. I'd like to see a little bit more going to the rim and creating for other people, but at the same time, again, these are 2 exhibition games. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. It won't be still for a couple weeks till we're seeing the Jays, play some really good opponents, and we'll really kind of get an idea of what he's going to be for this team. But I'm really encouraged. I'm really encouraged by him. I thought Austin Swartz is.
Listen. I am getting more and more stock in the Austin Swartz category every single time I see that kid. It's just I have not seen him make the wrong play yet. And that is a huge value. And again, not necessarily the offensive output that he had in the last game. Austin just goes 4 of 6, just a measly 4 of 6 from the field, and scores 9 points tonight. But it just feels like he's always in the right spot, whether it be rebounding the basketball. He had 3 tonight, whether it be finding somebody on the court. He just had the 1 assist, but he had 2 extra passes tonight that won't show up in the stat sheet. He just always seems to be in the right spot. There's so much value in that.
He's playing really well, man. He's really playing with a lot of confidence, which I love. The one that he took from 1 free throw line all the way down to the rim and scored in the second half. And stuff like that, man. Again, it's an exhibition game. All those things can be said, but to have the awareness, to have the quickness, to have the ability to go and finish that layup at the rim like that, it was impressive, man. And I'm really happy to see a kid that, most of the time you don't transfer from a high major to a high major unless there's something wrong.
Sure.
Unless there was something missing. And it's really good so far to see him look like he's kind of found his place, found a place that he can be successful. And I think it's going to be really fun to watch Mac figure out how to get the most out of him. I'll tell you the one that what is already intriguing to me is him versus Hudson Green.
Yeah.
And who's going to get those minutes. And I think right now it's pretty clear. Defensively tonight was not a good night for Hudson. He's a young kid. He's going to get better. You absolutely have to understand that. But I do see him and Austin as being the 2 that are really going to probably compete the most for minutes. And look, it should be Austin right now.
Yeah.
He's a Division One high major transfer.
Played more time, yeah. You know what? Listen, we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to talk to Creighton assistant coach Mike Nesbitt as well. But I want to pick your brain about something. You said something really interesting a minute ago. You very rarely does that happen, but you mentioned that you don't expect high-level transfers to come in unless from high major programs unless there's something wrong. I want to know when we come back, is that still the case in the NIL era? We'll debate that more. It's the Roll Jays podcast. We come back.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's a delicious meal waiting for everyone in the family. Pepper Jack's Grill, your Philly.
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all. From repairing or replacing your roof to updating siding, windows, or gutters. When you have a home improvement project, call Pyramid Contractors.
PyramidRoof.com, never settle for less.
Welcome back into the Roll Jays podcast, brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. Creighton wins their second exhibition. They're technically 2-0 while being 0-0 at the same time, but they win 76-64 tonight.
Jimmy, can we get back to what I said? That was interesting.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going. Listen, we're getting a lot of listeners that are joining us.
It gets me excited, man, when I say something.
Yeah. So you mentioned we're specifically talking about Austin Swartz and transferring from a program like Miami to Creighton, and you said that that doesn't happen unless there's something wrong. Do you feel like that's still the case in today's world with NIL being what it is, the transfer portal being what it is? You're starting to laugh already, so I'm assuming you're already going to, as you often do, backpedal on what you first said. But go ahead.
No, because something wrong could be there's not enough money.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
fair enough.
I mean, look, like I think, the NIL era, I think that's a fair counter.
Sure.
That if you have
a fair what?
A counter.
Oh, no, I thought you said. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. You're fine. You're fine.
But
enunciate, pal.
I think it's fair to just.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
I think that, I mean, if you can go somewhere else to make more money, then you got to at least consider it. But I think when you look at Miami, and certainly there's a coaching change in Miami, so that's part of it.
Yeah.
But just in general, I think he was very highly recruited. Number one, right? And he just didn't have the role that he really wanted. I mean, we interviewed him on the show a few weeks ago, and he talked a little bit about that. So I certainly think there were things missing, things that he wanted more out of his time at Miami. So to see him come in, and again, for me, it's the
bring a chair up. There you go. Yeah.
For me, it's the comp. What's up, Mike?
What's up?
Nice haircut too. Where do you go to get your haircut?
Chop Shop.
All right, there you go. Free shout out to Chop Shop. We're live, by the way.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so don't drop any F-bombs.
The thing before we get to my thing is I just think the confidence that Austin's playing with right now is what's really fun. Because you can see he's going out there. He's kind of just like, hey, I'm here for this reason, and he's going out there and he's playing well.
Great assistant coach Mike Nesbitt now joins us here on the Roll Jays podcast. Before we get into talking about the game, I have to ask: was it awkward when Casey Matthews just touched your knee?
No.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure there's consent here on the Roll Jays podcast.
Friendly pat.
All right,
Coach, we touch each other's knees. Part of
all right, I didn't realize that was a part of the agreement, but we don't pay extra for that, by the way.
Gotcha.
Just throwing that out there. I want to ask about the performance tonight. Obviously, maybe a little bit of a slower start than you guys have wanted. Obviously, slower than what we saw against Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it on in the second half. What was the difference for this offense in the second half?
Yeah, I think just our pace offensively, getting the ball moving side to side. They went under a lot of screens, which kind of stalled us out in the first half, and we hadn't really played against any team that kind of just really packed it in like that. So once we kind of moved our offense down the floor a little bit, I thought we were able to get some easier looks. We actually, we got a few stops and we were able to run out in transition, and we're very deadly in transition, with all the shooters that we have on the floor. And, that's kind of when we went on that run, when we hit, 3-3-3, so that was good to see.
I like one of the things you said there offensively. We talked about it at halftime. One of the things I felt like you guys would make adjustments would be getting the ball in a better operating area offensively. It felt early on in the game you were really pushed out, extended offensively, and really couldn't run the offense deeper on the floor like you need to in order to get some looks. It makes those post passes harder as well. Specifically with Owen, the fans obviously were excited to see him.
Yep.
I was excited to see him, but you obviously have to have patience with the guy that's coming off an injury. He's in a new system. Everything's new. What were you guys really wanting to see from him tonight? And what would be, if you could give us a couple takeaways that are encouraging from what you've seen from tonight?
No, like you said, it was great just to have him out there on the floor tonight. Just his presence as a human being, like he's a very positive, he's got a little mojo to him. So just having him out on the floor, I think was really, really important for us. He's just really now the last couple of weeks, really it's been about a week and a half to 2 weeks that he's been involved in practice. So he's still getting his conditioning up. So like that first segment, we joked about it at shoot around. I was like, dude, like you're going to have to deal with not only your conditioning, but the adrenaline, where it's like
worried about overcompensating.
Exactly.
No, like
it's almost a double whammy where like you saw it after 2 trips. He was just gassed. So it was good to see him in that second half come out. We, first play of the second half, we got him the ball in the post. He scored. And then, the second play, their first offense possession, he jumps that passing lane and gets the breakaway layup. So just seeing him out on the floor, being active, and I think you guys kind of see what he can do. Like he is a low post presence that is going to demand a lot of attention towards him. So, he's only going to keep getting better as this thing goes on.
Casey had kind of mentioned something half jokingly about conversations before exhibition games that how many people are going to show up, what's the energy in this building going to be like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How much from a coaching staff standpoint have you guys really put into effect what these games really mean long term?
Long term, I think, Coach Matt, if you look at the stat sheet, we played 15 guys, and probably we played 14 of them, probably 10 plus minutes. So, I think he wanted to see a lot of different combinations, see how guys play with each other together. I think things like that are the biggest takeaways. That and just kind of how we prepare for a game. We did do a scouting report. Now it was very limited, just on they don't have a ton of film.
Jeff Vanderloo was lazy this week. So
no, they don't. They had played one closed door exhibition, and they had sent us a team scrimmage, and we did the same for them. So based off that limited film, they're incorporating seven of their top guys, 7 of their top 9 guys are newcomers. And
a new head coach.
Exactly, and a new head coach. Can we kind of key in on some personnel? Can we key in on a couple of actions? And then like I said, just figuring out what rotations might work well together.
Yeah, that's what was one of my notes before the game, Mike. I was really fascinated to see the rotations. Mm-hmm. I really want to see how you guys would use Blake Harper specifically now that you have Owen. And then we talked a lot about Karem and having a true 5-man as a backup 5 instead of what should be a 4-man as a backup 5. I think offensively especially, but just rotationally is going to be really beneficial, I think, for this team. But you talked about how you guys played 15 tonight. We both know in a real game that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. But we always talk, and what I think the fans are really excited about is the depth on this team. However, really good teams typically are playing 9 guys max, when the games matter. So with so much talent on the team, you're gonna have to figure out how do we get there. Who is it that we cut? At what point do you think for this year with so many new guys, you guys need to be at that 9-guy-ish rotation? Do you think you have a longer leash with it because of how much talent's on the roster?
I do think, and I think you guys have seen through the first 2 exhibitions, it might be game by game where someone might be a little bit better than another. So
who's got the hot handle?
Exactly, kind of run them out, see who's playing well, see what's going on, but. It's going to lead to a lot of tough discussions over the next couple of weeks.
There's competition at every spot. Have you ever been on a team that's got this much competition?
No. And you talked about the backup 5, and you didn't even mention the Swiss Army knife that we have, Jason Green. That, can really play 3 through 5 on that front line. And, started the game at the 3, played some minutes at the 5, and it's just going to be. It's going to be really interesting to see how it folds out over these next couple weeks, next couple months.
We talked about the newness for Owen Freeman. This is only your second game in this building as well. What have you taken away from these 2 scrimmages that maybe you didn't know about this team before these 2 exhibitions started?
First off, it's I flipped around last night on TV, and it's pretty rare to see 14,000 people showing up for an exhibition games. You guys didn't
get this at High Point?
Our arena only held about 5,000 people.
But that arena is big time, by the way. It's phenomenal.
And they do a lot of stuff to get people in the gym.
Sure.
But just seeing the support.
No shade, High Point. I'm sorry.
No. seeing the support that this city and this fan base has, has been a lot of fun. And then just, kind of just seeing guys step up and not really sure coming into the year, like who was going to be the leader. And, I still think those are probably question marks at this point. But, I think we've taken 2 positive steps.
Absolutely. And you're talking about who's going to be the leader. That to me is very interesting when you start talking about a Josh Dix and a guy that his role at Iowa, was obviously huge, and he'll play a huge role here. But you can kind of see he's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Where do I take my shots? What is my role off the ball? All those sorts of things. Can you talk a little bit about just maybe Coach Mack and Coach Huss as well, with how they're helping him figure that out offensively? Defensively, I think it's a different animal altogether. But offensively, when you got a guy that was so highly touted in the portal and all those things that had so much success, he's going to need some time to really get his groove. How do we help him get there?
I mean, Josh he's a really good player. And consistency wise on a day-to-day basis, he's probably been our most consistent guy that we've had, summer and fall. So the fact that I don't even know what he finished with tonight. Josh Dix was 5 points.
Yeah, he went 2 for 4 from field, 5 points, and had 1 rebound.
But he's been a guy that I don't think either of those, Coach Huss, Coach Mack, are overly worried about his production. Like I said, he's just been one of the most consistent guys we've had. And I think, kind of like you said, him playing within the motion, him playing within, start getting some sets run for him as we do start running a little bit more stuff. Iowa State's a kind of a different animal because they really take you out of everything.
And 2 different stylistic teams.
And then, tonight we still, as you guys both know, we have a pretty extensive playbook, and we really haven't pulled out much in these first.
Casey, thoughts?
Some Coach Mack's play card, it's big.
So ATOs and special situations, there's probably a pretty good chance that the ball is going to be in his hands.
There's probably not even much in right now that will.
Correct. Correct.
It's pretty intense.
We spent a lot of time talking about how much different Nick Graves is as a player than we even thought, and how much I guess better would be the right word, because we had high expectations. We think he's even better than we expected to be. Can you talk about his performance? I mean, he led the team in scoring 15 points. He goes 3 of 6 from beyond the arc, had 2 rebounds and 2 assists, and it played very well.
Yeah, I think the shooting had kind of been the knock on him, and in the portal he shot low 30s last year, but he's come in and there's nothing fundamentally wrong with his jump shot, and just through the time that he's put in, and he's built a lot of confidence with that, and really over the last probably month and a half, he's figured out the pace that we want to play at. He was coming from one of the slowest paced teams in the country, and that was something that Mac was on him every single day about, and still is. He needs those reminders, but I think you saw it today. His pace, he gets an outlet, off a rebound, and he is flying up the floor with that ball. And now that we're finally getting that, I think he's comfortable. He's in better shape than what he was, and he had a hell of a performance.
Is it fair to say that of all the newcomers, he seems to be the most comfortable so far?
Yeah, I mean he's been comfortable, but again, Josh has been really good. We've seen what Blake can do. Owen's coming back into health, and I think we're excited about all these newcomers that we've had.
I think what's fun too is,
I mean, we're not even talking about Austin, who
that's where I was going next. So go ahead.
Well, the thing that's always, again, I give Mac a lot of praise any chance I get.
That's true.
To me, it's very true. I do love Coach Mac. One of the things for me that I just learned right away, and it's always stuck with me, is, and he said it in one of the quotes that I was floating around, but not wanting to coach the fun out of the game. But it's also Mac gives you confidence by, you take a shot, you miss a shot. He's not on you about that's a bad shot or you can't shoot. He wants you to shoot the next one when you're open and when you're in rhythm. And I think that for a lot of guys, it takes some time. It takes guys time to trust that, because you can say it all you want, but actually doing it in a game and trusting them in a game. What I see is Austin and Nick specifically as 2 guys that just look confident, and that they know that when they look at the bench, the head coach that's looking at them has confidence in them, and wants them to make mistakes, wants them to push and do those things. And can you just talk about your time so far with Mac? Like, is that something that stands out to you? And is that something that when you're a head coach, like is it important to you, or is that maybe not your style? Like, what is it? How do you feel about what I just said?
No, 100%. Like, I don't think I've ever been around a head coach or worked for a head coach that empowers these guys probably as much as he does. I mean, Austin, Nick, like, those guys are talented player, and he wants those guys to go out there and make plays. Like, you know, like we drill everything that we do every single day. You know, so I think that gives them confidence. They come in and work on their own, so that gives them confidence. And then, you know, they're not playing for a head coach where if they do make a mistake, they're having to look over their shoulder at every point and, you know, expect the buzzer. Like, you know, ultimately, like, Austin is a sophomore playing his 35th game in college, you know, whatever it is, whatever it is, you know, so like he's played a decent amount, but, you know, he's still got, you know, he's still so young and still has a lot to learn. And, you know, really the only way you can learn is, you know, it's one way to learn on the practice floor, but it's another, you know, to go out in front of, you know, 15,000 people and make those mistakes in front of those people.
Yeah.
Catch up with Creighton assistant coach Mike Nesbitt here on the Roll Jays podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Last time we actually spoke to you proper on the podcast, you just got in Omaha. Outside of basketball, what's been your favorite part about the city of Omaha?
I mean, we talked about it last time. Is just all the good food options.
Yeah,
so I've probably put on a few
I think
pounds.
the Chop Shop has to be up there.
Shout out to Chop Shop. Like, those are my guys. They say, you know, not many Creighton guys go over there. I guess it's too far west for that.
Change that, man.
No, they do a good job. So
proof is in the pudding here. Look at this, man.
I apologize about all the inappropriate touches since you've been up here.
Saying,
Coach,
his hair looks good. The Chop Shop, we got to help out.
Well, that's great assistant coach Mike Nesbitt. We're going to take a quick break, come back, wrap up our thoughts about Creighton's 76-64 victory over Colorado State. We come back with the Roll Jays.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all. From repairing or replacing your roof to updating siding, windows, or gutters. When you have a home improvement project, call Pyramid Contractors.
PyramidRoof.com, never settle for less.
Welcome back into the Roll Jays podcast. Jimmie Allen and Casey Matthews trying to figure out our camera situation. What's he got?
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all. From repairing or replacing your roof to updating.
Sorry about that. There's our great sponsor, Pyramid Contractors commercial. But yeah, we'll try to get a third commercial. That was a little bit of an awkward situation with all the awkward touching and then the camera angle. So
It wasn't awkward.
it was a little awkward touching.
We're friends.
The main story is that Creighton wins 76-64. Maybe I'm just jealous. You don't touch me enough. Is that what it is? Final thoughts. I mean, obviously, Nick Graves has a fantastic night. He leads the Jays in scoring. He puts in 15. We've talked about Jason Green so much on the defensive side of things. He had 14 points. That was 6-7 from the field. And with the lack of Ryan Kalkbrenner's presence under the hoops, somebody's going to have to make up for that. And kind of feels like Jason Green filled that role tonight.
I think that's my takeaway.
Yeah.
Is that we just had an interview with the assistant coach, talked about this game. We've talked a little bit before that. I don't know that Jason's name even came up.
Right.
And he had an unbelievable game. And
I honestly have the feeling we're going to have that conversation a lot this season where it's like we talk about this guy and that guy and down the list. We didn't even mention so-and-so who may have been the top two in scoring just because there's so many different types of players on this team.
Look, Jason's so talented. Actually, I guess Mike did mention him as a Swiss Army knife, and I think that's a great way to put it, is he can help you defensively, he can help you offensively, he can play different positions. Like, he's a local kid. He's a good kid. He just, you can't really say enough good things about him. I personally, it's encouraging to see. You know, I was here when we recruited him and didn't really know what he was going to be. Still trying to figure it out. There was a lot of competition in the recruiting space at the time between him.
Guy played for multiple national championships. You know what I mean, national state championships. Excuse me, and never happened again. and obviously it comes out of a program at Millard North that was turning out a ton of talent at that time. But Creighton wins tonight, and that's the main story, 76-64. They head into the regular season. What would it be, a week from tonight? A week from tonight, they'll be back here on November 5th to start the season proper. That's Casey Matthews. I've been Jimmie Allen. This is the Roll of Jays podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Big East Energy on YouTube. Keep up to date on all of the information you need across Big East men's and women's basketball on BigEastEnergy.com and Big East Energy proper on YouTube. Thanks to Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. We'll see you next time.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's a delicious meal waiting for everyone in the family. Pepper Jack's Grill, your Philly, your way.
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all. From repairing or replacing your roof to updating siding, windows, or gutters. When you have a home improvement project, call Pyramid Contractors.
Pyramid Roof.